Something very strange is going on surrounding the Toronto Maple Leafs and William Nylander, as William Nylander has publicly spoken out and revealed his concerns about his playing time. So to break that down, as well as discuss a new report that has come out from Darren Dreger surrounding Mitch Marner and his concerns about playing time. So we have a lot of weird things to go over today on this episode, but before we get into it, quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. If you're a part of the 70 or so percent who aren't subscribed to the channel, make sure to smash that subscribe button. We're on the road to 14,000 subscribers. We're getting very, very close. And we produce daily Leafs content. And shout out to everybody who tuned into the stream yesterday. It was an electric one. So thank you guys for your continued support. But Darius, we have a lot to go over today. Obviously, the Toronto Maple Leafs play tomorrow, Saturday. It's going to be a very interesting game. But some very interesting comments have come out surrounding William Nylander. This was prior to yesterday night's game and their win, of course, against the Seattle Kraken. Ironically, in a game where William Nylander played phenomenally, put up 2 goals. But some interesting comments came out yesterday. I'm just going to dive into them, and I've seen a lot of back and forth. A lot of Leafs fans and a lot of Leafs analysts are upset with this comment, saying to keep that in-house. Some fans agree with it. He said, William Nylander said, quote, "That is a little bit of what I've been trying to talk to Craig Berube about, to get that ice time back to where it was before. I think it helps my game a lot to do what I want to be able to do out there. It's something to figure out." He also said he missed playing in the penalty kill. Berube isn't ruffled with Nylander's desire to play more. I have no problem with it, and I do try to get him more. We talk about it. I try to get him out there, if deserved, as much as I can. Very good point with the if deserved. That being said, Darius, I want to get your thoughts on this and what your thoughts are on him coming out and saying this publicly. A lot of analysts and writers and some fans are a bit annoyed with the fact that he said this publicly. I don't mind it. Truthfully, I don't hate it. You don't see it very often, which is kind of strange, a little bit weird. You rarely see a player, especially during the stretch that Nylander's had, phenomenal to start the year. And again, this is prior to yesterday's game. What are your thoughts on these comments?
I don't hate them. I actually quite like them from William Nylander. And I think to a degree, he can be correct in saying what he said here in this quote. And you know what? I will liken it to, if you look across the league, Mika Zibanejad of the New York Rangers is complaining of the same thing. I won't say complaining, but he is, speaking out on the same thing, saying that he can't find his rhythm on the ice because he's playing less this season. And he feels like if he were to play more, he would get into the game more, and it would help him with, producing points and all that at 5-on-5. Now, William Nylander, I think, is more so specifically talking about how he's been taken off the penalty kill this year because he was put on the penalty kill last year. So he's playing significantly less, and he's playing a little bit less 5-on-5 as well. But all in all, I like the comments. I think this is a player that knows, the more he plays in a game, the more involved he's going to be in the game, and he can play better when he's playing more. And I like his hunger, right? I like the fact that he wants to be out there and he wants to battle, he wants to compete, and he wants to be put in more situations to help the team win. So he feels like he can play better if he plays more. And I think, with the way he's been playing fantastic. So if he wants to play more, if deserved, I love that Craig Berube said that as well. If deserved, I think he should get it. And I personally really like the comments because it shows that, he wants to take on more responsibility. Possibly, he leads by example as well on this team. So I could see him wearing a letter in the future as well. So I love the comments from Nylander. And I think there is a degree of it that is true, because if you play more, you tend to be more involved in the game.
Yeah, not only that, Nylander has been playing unbelievable. Yesterday we saw against the Kraken 2 goals. The game before he had some points. So when you're looking at his ice time, again, you can see William Nylander played 17 minutes, 34 seconds, 4th among Leafs forward. He scored twice and leads the team with 8 goals this season. That was obviously in yesterday night's game against the Kraken. So it becomes very interesting now because, again, he's probably wanting to play between the 20 to 23 minute range, what he was more used to last year under Sheldon Keefe and in years prior. That being said, William Nylander also leads the Maple Leafs in goals, points, plus minus, and game winners, which is a funny thing to throw in there with all those other stats. But he's objectively been one of the better, probably the best player on the Maple Leafs this season, depending on where you want to go, whether it's Stolarz, whether, Matthew Knies been one great player as well. But he has been very good, and he says he wants more ice time, which, again, makes some sense. And I love it, to be quite frank. He thinks he's playing well. He is playing well. And it's on Craig Berube to, of course, get him more ice time when possible. That being said, I do think Craig Berube has done a very solid job with managing all these guys. It's not a super easy job that he has, especially with his lineups being as fluid as they are, to get, and with the talent that they have, especially, again, Nylander and that second line was phenomenal yesterday. It's been phenomenal. It's been the star of this week. For all the Leafs games. And it's really been the star of the season, but really this week, especially with how the second line has kind of started to develop with Patches up there along with Nylander. Things are starting to finally come into place, but I don't hate that. I'm loving the fire that this team is showing, especially for William Nylander now, and he's locked up to his contract, and he's not afraid to speak his mind, and I don't hate it. I just love the fire from him, especially when it's not like he's playing bad. He's playing absolutely phenomenal. It's interesting.
Yeah, and he wants to play more. He wants to play in all situations, and I love it. We already know, he's a great player for the power play. He's very offensively gifted, but he wants to take on more responsibility defensively too. So he said, he misses playing on the penalty kill, which I don't know how much truth there is to that exactly because it's a hard job, right? And obviously he wants to score the goals, but he drives his line as well. And Tavares has been playing great recently, right? He's really picked it up as well as Pacioretty. That second line, like you mentioned, has been very good, but he is the driver on that line. He is the guy. So he is continuing to play very well for the Toronto Maple Leafs so far this season.
Yeah, and you briefly mentioned it here. You can see he's not killing penalties under Berube after he averaged 1 minute per game in the kill last season. So it's interesting. When you look at the numbers, you can see where it's coming from. And from Craig Berube's side, I mean, the PK has been very good anyways without Nylander on it. So I don't know if they want to change too much there. So let us know in the comments your thoughts are on William Nylander's comments. Briefly after this, some comments came out from Mitch Marner. And Mitch Marner's camp has been concerned about him playing too much. So this year, with Nylander wanting more ice time, it could be an option for him to take a few of Marner's minutes. Very weird stuff going on. And it's not weird in the sense of, like, it's bad. I'm not saying that in a negative connotation, or with a negative connotation, sorry. It's just interesting for these things to come out this early in the season, like wanting more playing time, wanting less playing time if you're Mitch Marner. What do you take from this? And I'm assuming his camp is saying that in the sense of they don't want him to get injured. They don't want him to get bruised up because this is a contract year for him. And he obviously wants the big contract year, doesn't want to get injured before his contract year. Just super interesting, I think is the word to use at this point for this stuff to be coming out. That being said, I mean, it's up to, again, people are going to have a naturally more sour taste with Mitch Marner's comments, given the way his agent and his camp handled this offseason. What are your thoughts on Marner's side of these comments?
Interesting, like you said, and interesting timing as well, because I believe this came out right after the article dropped about Nylander, which we just highlighted, right? So I thought that was very interesting in terms of timing. But we've seen that kind of happen before with the first contract negotiation when Matthews signed in 2019, and then Marner, his camp came out with everything as well. So we've seen this before. And I think Mitch Marner is a very skilled player, and I like Mitch Marner. I think he's, adding another dimension to his game defensively this year as well. It's always been there, but I think he's playing very well defensively as well. And I'm reading it that way too, Nick. I'm reading it like they don't want him to get hurt. They don't want him to be overplayed and strain himself essentially and be ready for the playoffs and all of that. But I think it's a very odd comment. I think, whoever's kind of running Marner's camp and maybe leaking certain things, maybe should stop doing that because, the PR for Mitch Marner since that first contract negotiation hasn't been fantastic. Even though I think a lot of people still think he's a great player and he is a great player, right? But I think that they should probably stop that because this just weird, it reads very weirdly, especially in contrast with what Nylander just said. He said, hey, I want to be put in all situations. I want to go to battle for this team. I want to play more. And then the other side, Marner or his camp is saying we don't want him to play as much just in case he gets injured, right? Or that's the way I'm reading it, at least. Or I don't know. There wasn't much to it, at least in that tweet, but that's the way I'm reading it. And it's just very odd, and you can see why maybe more Leaf fans are starting to get behind Nylander a little bit more. But I can see what they're trying to say, if that's exactly what they're trying to say. But it reads very weirdly. And I think Marner should be hungry to play maybe more minutes and more situations, just like Nylander. Nylander seems very hungry and wants to play more and help the team win.
Yeah, very interesting. Two different sides of the coin here that could impact one another directly, while also, I guess, affecting one another indirectly surrounding Mitch Marner's contract negotiations. But let us know in the comments down below what your thoughts are on all of this. A lot of stuff is going down with Toronto Maple Leafs news, so we're going to keep you up to date. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. And thank you guys for watching. We'll see you later.